Hello, everybody. Chad Eves here. Before we dive into today's topic, I'd like to share a new podcast that we've launched. It is Executive Communication Brief. It is a 30-minute coaching podcast that comes out on a weekly basis. It's exclusively on Apple Podcasts. You can find out more information about it by going to executivecommunicationbrief.com, and there'll be a link to that and also directly to the podcast. It is basically a 30-minute coaching session direct to you through a podcast. Hope you check it out, and even more so, hope you subscribe. So what I'd like to share in this episode is a little bit of a different response I got when doing some networking this past week. When I'm out and about, I enjoy meeting people. I love to learn a little bit about them, and this might be at parties, it could be while I'm traveling, or maybe just hanging out at my favorite European bakery or cafe. There is one answer though. I hadn't really heard of this before, at least face to face. It was at a party on Saturday for a mutual colleague. The day is going to be important here in a second. I introduced myself to a small group of people I hadn't talked with yet, and after introductions, the conversation turned towards what people did for work. One person responded with, "I don't talk about work on the weekends." Now, at first, I was thinking that's a little strange. It was largely a professional crowd at this gathering. And before pondering any more about the response, I realized that this person had actually done me a favor. It was the message inside her response. And that message was, I'm not a serious person. When a person fails to engage and doesn't make any effort to interact with someone, at first it might throw that person off. They might get offended or try and figure out what's the meaning behind that. And it can come in different forms. In addition to saying something like this, it could be someone scrolling on a phone while standing next to you, standing there doing nothing, or bypassing opportunities to take part in a conversation. Now, there could be other things that person is dealing with, but saying that you don't talk about work on weekends is an active decision. And if you can't be present in engaging at an event, you should probably consider not going to it. That would be less damaging to your reputation, most likely. When someone does respond with something like this, it's a big red flag. And rarely is dealing with someone that is a non-serious person worth the effort. If they are of this attitude before you do any business with them or before you get to know them better, they will probably be a horrendous client to have and probably a difficult person to have in your life. So what I do is when I encounter someone like this, I'll put them in my CRM and then I will flag them as non-serious. And I do have that keynote in my CRM and I do use it, and it helps me more efficiently connect with people that matter. So if you run into someone that says, I don't talk about work on the weekends, or does something else that indicates they're not really a serious person, move on. Note that they're not a serious person, and then go and find people that are more interesting and more serious, because those people are the ones that are going to seriously enrich your life.